In the co-main event of UFC 266, Brian Ortega faced off against Alexander Volkanovski. In the first round, Alexander dropped Brian with a big uppercut and immediately followed up and knocked Brian out. For the win, Alexander is now the official #1 contender for the featherweight division. But after losing the fight, Brian had to be taken to the hospital right away. Brian Ortega posts to his Instagram story, writing, "For those who love me, please pray for me. Love you guys." Dana White and Oscar De La Hoya get into a big argument on Twitter after UFC 266. De La Hoya tweeted out, "Hey Alexander Volkanovski, you just won a really tough fight for the UFC and only made 1/20th of what you should be paid. Dana White, have some respect for yourself and these fighters and pay these warriors what they deserve." Dana replied saying, "Shut the freak up, you crackhead. You faked having COVID and stopped me from watching you get knocked out by Vitor Belfort. You should win an Oscar for your fake hospital act." So this weekend, Nick Diaz returned to the octagon to face off against Robbie Lawler. And unfortunately for Nick, he lost the fight in the third round when the ref stopped the fight due to the amount of damage that Nick had sustained. But after the fight, Nick actually seemed happy about the outcome. He said, "I'm glad I at least put on a good show. I knew this was going to happen. Old Rob had a lot of pressure coming into this fight, especially after being away for so long. I don't have any excuses. I had a long time off too, and I knew this was coming. I don't know how this fight got set up. I had a complete change in my management team. The way this fight got set up was just unfair, but no excuses. I had it coming." He was in great shape. "I knew I was bleeding here, so I didn't want to make too big of a mess. I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to put on a show." Nick posted some photos on his Instagram story after the fight. Here's one where he shows some of the damage that he had after the fight. Here's another one. Here's one where he's with Ralph Gracie. He wrote, "Ralph Gracie was in my corner last night. He's my hero from when I was growing up and the best coach ever." So during the UFC 266 pre-fight press conference, Dana White was asked about Conor McGregor throwing the first pitch at the Cubs game, and Dana said, "Let me start here. Do you know how many times people have asked me to throw a first pitch somewhere? I'll never do it, never. Just like all those guys who think they can fight, guys think they can throw a baseball to home plate. It's much harder than it looks." Dana was then asked if he thinks Conor's leg is healing well, and he said, "This kid needs to heal up. I don't know how fast his leg is going to get better. It's basically going to be all about when he can start kicking again, and more importantly, when he can start taking kicks again. That will decide when he fights again." So Bellator heavyweight champion Ryan Bader may be moving to heavyweight permanently. Ryan recently called out both Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane for a potential superfight matchup. Francis responded saying, "Stop asking me about Ryan Bader. I think he deserves a title shot. He's #1. And Cyril responded saying, "I hope Bellator will take care of the deal with Ryan Bader, because I would like to fight him too." So it looks like Bader is definitely going to get his wish, and he's going to be fighting one of these guys in the near future. So Alistair Overeem is supposed to fight Rico Verhoeven in kickboxing soon. And before the fight, Alistair admits that he would have liked to end his career in the UFC. He said, "I'm professional, I'm realistic. This is something that the UFC can do after you lose. Those are the rules in their contracts. They can let you go from the contract. I've had a good time with the UFC. They can do this. Maybe it was time for the younger guys to come in. You can't forget, I am 41 years old. I'm getting a little bit older. If it was up to me, I would have liked to finish in the UFC, but it was not up to me. Only the UFC belt is missing from my wall. We were so close. It is what it is. There's one thing I could have changed or wanted. It would be that UFC belt. But on the other hand, I had so many beautiful wins, so many exciting moments. I'm proud of my career." So it looks like Anthony Smith wants to run it back with Ryan Spann after Spann complained about having to fight Smith. Smith appeared on Sirius XM and said, "I was really mad at Ryan Spann, really. Watching him leave practice and go home to his family made me furious, because at the same time, he's talking about his struggles and what he's given up for this sport and how hard it is. And I'm sitting in a hotel room all by myself after I've been away from my family for most of like 6, 7, 8 weeks. And just seeing him complain about how hard it is, like go freak yourself." And then he sits in his interview and cries about one loss and how it almost destroyed him. And he could never fight again and he couldn't get out of bed. Like you're a baby, you're weak. And I don't like... What are you even doing in here with me? After all the stuff that I've been through and sacrifices and the losses and the really dark places, I couldn't believe that he had the nerve to even say some of the stuff that he said. And then end it with, ain't no way Anthony's gonna take this from me, like the freak he's not. Like you have no idea what the real world is really about, like how bad this game can really mess you up sometimes. Like you're crying about one loss, like get the freak out of here. So that was my mindset going into it, and it's very different than it's been in the past. So Triller, as Ryan Kavanagh, spoke to TMZ about the backlash about Evander Holyfield fighting at 58 years old. He says that he actually thinks he will compete again. He said, "We had a contract with Holyfield to fight several fights, which we still do. His first fight was going to be Kevin McBride. He was the last person to knock out Mike Tyson, and McBride is only 2 years older than Vitor Belfort. We saw McBride and saw some video of him training and got very worried. We actually went to the commission and said we're worried about this fight. I think we were told we were the only promoters ever in the history of promoting to try to talk the commission out of a fight. The Holyfield team, we love them. We love working with them. But they were determined that this fight had to happen so much that they brought it to court. You have to let this go. It was a real professional rules fight. This was not a fake dance fight. We said we were very worried about McBride, not Holyfield. Holyfield, having seen what we saw, was in such amazing shape. He never stops working out. He's a perfect example of a human being. It was quite a battle, honestly. It was going to be a fight of us saying we don't want someone to get hurt. When we turned around and put this card together, the way we looked at it was Vitor. Yes, he was younger. As we all know, I think he was 2 years younger than McBride, so almost the same age. But he's not a pro boxer. He's only boxed once. We all know MMA has a disadvantage when it comes to pro boxing. We actually thought it